The Browns receiving totals. Jarvis Landry led all receivers with 3 catches. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 2. Nick Chubb, 2. Harrison Bryant, 2. Austin Hooper, 2. David Njoku, 1. Anthony Schwartz, not Pete, 1.
I'll drop dead.
Baker Mayfield spread the football around to 1 million different receivers yesterday. And never once did it feel like Baker was distracted, thrown off his game, worried, forced it. Baker just took exactly who was open each and every time. Now, I'm not going to absolve blame from Baker Mayfield for Odell Beckham not being a bigger part of the offense. I think Baker was slow on reads. Baker was hesitant on reads. Baker did not get the football out there. I mean, if it's Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or a quarterback in his prime right now slinging it, I'd like to say Mahomes, but Mahomes is playing poor football. Josh Allen on days that are not called the Jaguars' day. They would get Odell Beckham the football when Beckham is open 40 yards downfield, 25 yards downfield, So there is blame to be had for Baker Mayfield. But reading and listening to a lot of stuff that came out this week from Cleveland, what it appeared to me was that people around the franchise and knew the inner workings of the Browns thought that Baker was thrown off mentally by the pressure Odell put on him to get the football. Again, I'm not saying that Odell is the villain here and Baker Mayfield's the hero. I'm not painting it that way. I'm just saying that with Odell in the picture, Baker was not his best self. He was distracted. With Odell out of the picture, this is the second consecutive year that when Odell wasn't there, Baker shined. If Odell Beckham is complaining to your coaches about not getting the football, if Odell Beckham's dad you have to have conversations with, which Baker Mayfield admitted he did, because you're not getting Odell the football enough, you are probably discombobulated on Sundays in just going through your normal progressions and reads. The moment Odell went down with the ACL tear last year is when Baker was his best self. And then yesterday, suddenly it happens again. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Baker Mayfield looks like he's the number 1 overall pick in a franchise QB. You think that's a coincidence again? It's not. Also, don't get this confused for Odell's not going to be anything wherever he goes. If he goes to a good situation where there's a good quarterback that knows how to use him, very much like Tom Brady and Antonio Brown. Very much like Antonio Brown, rather. Very much like that, you might still see Odell be productive. You might still see Odell make highlights. So I don't want this thrown back in my face that, remember, D.A., you said Odell Beckham was toast and Baker Mayfield was great and it's always Odell's fault. No. What I said was last week, when your dad puts out cut-ups, highlight reels or low-light reels to put on blast your quarterback, and your dad has to go helicopter parent on an NFL QB, your dad's out of line. And you've got to step up and be public and say, no, this is not cool. My dad spoke out of turn here. He didn't. So Odell's dad's a problem, and and Odell clearly went along with it. Baker, maybe he's, maybe Odell Beckham is the ex that you can't shake. And no matter what, you just can't stop pining over them on Facebook. You're like, it's been 10 years we haven't dated, and they've moved on, and I've moved on, and I'm happy. But every time I'm looking at Facebook, I'm seeing my ex, and I can't get past it. Maybe that's who Baker is, that he's an earworm inside his brain, and for whatever reason, Odell, he just can't shake. But the fact is, without Odell, Baker is good. With Odell, Baker is bad. And so suddenly Baker goes back to being good. And it's going to help this Browns team out. Like I said, When Jarvis Landry leads the team in catches in 3 and you score 41 points, that means your offense worked the way that it's supposed to work. Stefanski's offense is meant to spread the football around. It's meant to be a run-first offense. Nick Chubb got you 137 yesterday and 2 scores, including the 70-yarder. And then Baker plays off that, and who's ever open, first, second, third read, I can get it to him. And not worried about if I get it to Hooper for 6 yards on 1st and 10, but Odell's 22 yards downfield and I didn't get it there, suddenly I'm getting killed on it. Suddenly I got to worry about him complaining to Stefanski or his dad coming to talk to me. It's a distraction. Odell is his own worst enemy. Great talent, but his own worst enemy. And so wherever he ends up, God bless. I hope that he ends up being productive somewhere and latches on with a winner, et cetera. But was that Schefter yesterday or was it Glazer that had the report that Odell wants to go to a winner, and if he doesn't, quote, there's going to be problems?
I believe that was Adam Schefter.
Schefter, right?
Yes.
So he hasn't even gotten to his next team yet and has his agent, his dad, whoever is speaking for him, told Schefter, if he goes to a losing team, quote, there's gonna be problems. Could you imagine leaking that before you get picked up?
Because if I'm a winning team at that point, I got to think, well, what if things go south with Odell? You're going to wreck my locker room. That's the scare tactic you use to make sure the Lions don't claim you on waivers?
Right. Now, the Lions wouldn't, because the Lions have enough problems on their own. They don't need them. I did see that there were some reports last week that the Giants could welcome him back.
Oy.
Now, I think that's a disaster because I think that Daniel Jones would fall into the same category of Baker, where you'd question everything. And Daniel Jones isn't far enough along in terms of his career to be really confident in what he does.
Also, he'd be the third wide receiver on the Giants behind Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney.
Okay, that's a fair point as well. You know, let's just say that Antonio Brown got injured this week or Mike Evans got injured this week or something. The Bucs would be a great fit for Odell because you can't go into that locker room and, quote, be a problem. You can't. You can't go be a problem inside Tom Brady's locker room. So that's a great fit. The Cardinals, maybe. Again, you've got DeAndre Hopkins there, but like strong offense, good quarterback. Kyler's young for it, but I think he can get away with it, you know, in terms of telling Odell, be here, be there, you got to do this. But there's probably only a handful of teams that would really work with Odell.
Yeah, and also you have to weigh the risk-reward, right? If you're a team like the Cardinals that is 7-1 and humming along with A.J. Green and DeAndre Hopkins, does Odell at this stage of Odell make you that much better? You have to ask yourself that if you are a big contender, because let's face it, I mean, we don't even know what Odell really is anymore. Look at the Browns' offense without him, like you just made it out to be. Like, Odell of the yesteryear on the Giants feels like a long time ago. So how much better of a Super Bowl contender is Odell making you if you're a great team that it would be worth it when you see how much better Baker and the Browns are without him?
It's a fair concern and question, but I would point back to Antonio Brown and say none of us thought the Bucs needed Antonio Brown. We all said, why would you bother with that? You've got 3 really good wide receivers, a really good tight end, and a Hall of Fame quarterback. Why would you bother with him? And it ended up paying dividends.
It did. I could still make the case. I think they probably find a way to win the Super Bowl without him.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, but again, you're talking about Tom Brady, Bruce Arians. Like, that is a very, very, rare circumstance.
Totally right. So let's look at the winners in the NFL. If he's going to get picked up, he would be picked up this week. The Packers, he could probably
talk about a franchise that doesn't need more controversy. Maybe they grab Odell because they want the conversation to be about that, not everything else there.
He would probably fit in well enough with the Packers, and Rodgers would get him the football enough. But there's not a lot of snaps for him with the Packers. They've got 1 million wide receivers as it is. The Buccaneers, yes, he would fit in well. Again, I don't think that they need to add another piece to the puzzle. The Cardinals, there's an interesting idea. It's a quarterback and an offense and a coach that it could fit. The Rams potentially could fit. The Cowboys don't need him. They've got plenty of weapons around Dak Prescott. In the AFC, the Chargers or the Raiders, I don't think you want to bring in Odell to the craziness of the Raiders season. I doubt you want to make Justin Herbert worry about having to get Odell the ball these days.
Right. Well, the Raiders could make sense just from the standpoint of they were the second-rated passing offense in football. Now, with Henry Ruggs gone, I mean, this is a team that at some point needs to get away the stigma of missing the playoffs. And yesterday struggled in the red zone. I think it kind of does make sense. And I think Carr's been there long enough that he should be able to handle him.
Okay. But it's been a tumultuous season. So, and you also are burned by Antonio Brown with the...
No doubt. But isn't it more tumultuous if you just, again, for the third straight year, collapse here and don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they must, though, feel real burned about Antonio Brown and really worried about that same thing. I don't think the Bills would want him. Feels like McDermott's kind of a no-nonsense, we don't need egos around here type of guy. The Ravens are interesting. The Ravens have a history of bringing in guys who want fresh starts, veterans. I think Odell would respect Lamar Jackson. Lamar's an MVP. It'd be hard for Odell to walk in there and be like, do it my way, get me the ball more.
And Harbaugh, a rare coach, too, that would be totally in control.
Right.